Good morning. This is John from the Springs Mennonite Church, and I'm here today to finish up this week talking about Joel. And today I want to look at the third chapter, the last one in this little prophet's book. And beginning with verse 12, I mentioned earlier that Joel is a prophet who talks about God's work in the midst of troubles. And this passage here gets pretty dramatic in the troubles that are existing, but it doesn't stay there. So that's what's important. And let me read it and we'll talk about it for a few minutes. Beginning with verse 12, the third chapter of the prophet Joel. Let the nations be called to arms. Let them march to the valley of Jehoshaphat. There I, the Lord, will sit to pronounce judgment on them all. Swing the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come tread the grapes, for the winepress is full. The storage vats are overflowing with the wickedness of these people. Thousands upon thousands are waiting in the valley of decision. There the day of the Lord will soon arrive. The sun and the moon will grow dark. The stars will no longer shine. The Lord's voice will roar from Zion and thunder from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth will shake. Well, let's stop there a second. There's a little more that I'll get back to. But the prophet Joel is talking about, the judgment day. Now, I don't know if it comes in the exact same form that he's describing. I suspect that most of his words are rather symbolic rather than literal, but that doesn't really mean a whole lot. The point is that there's a lot of problems around. And it says here that thousands are waiting, thousands upon thousands are waiting. And it's so black, it's so dreary that the sun and the moon, nor the stars, none of them shine anymore. It's just dark and bleak. And sometimes people feel like their own lives are like that, dark and bleak. Sometimes we get discouraged. I get discouraged. I don't know why anybody thinks you wouldn't ever get discouraged. And sometimes people get really, really depressed. And perhaps I'm speaking to some of you. And if I'm not speaking to the very, very depressed, maybe the ones who just don't feel like, well, things are kind of blah right now. They're not really great. They're not really lousy. They're just kind of blah. And it just feels bad. Well, Israel was in that spot too, but of course, they were in it because of what they did. They forsook God. And they did that a lot. You know, if you dishonor God from time to time, not that that's okay, but you're in good company. All of us have. All of us have disappointed God. All of us have not done what we knew to do or done something we knew not to do. Now, maybe some have done it worse than others, but we're all in the same boat. And in those times, there's a real sense of God's going to get me or God forgot me. Maybe the forgot me part is the more common. And maybe today, listening to me, you're one of those who thinks that God forgot them. Well, let's read the rest of this little passage here to get the final picture because, the Bible is not doom and gloom. I know a lot of people preach it that way, but the Bible and God's words and his acts in history really are good news. I mean, something exciting and worthwhile, not depressing. So we finish this little verse up. After all this stuff is said, it says, but the Lord will be a refuge for his people and a strong fortress for the people of Israel. Joel's saying here that even in the midst of this judgment, I like the way it says, the Lord's voice will roar from Zion and thunder from Jerusalem. You get this almost Hollywood image of incredible power being displayed. And in fact, that's really descriptive of God. He has incredible power, and he displays it from time to time. I don't know if we always catch it, but he does. And so, in the midst of this condemnation of those who have forgotten God or never tried to find him in the first place, God says, but in the midst of that, the Lord will be the refuge of his people. You see, wherever you are in life, and it really doesn't matter, because wherever you are, you may get there again someday. But wherever you are, however bleak or bad or dark or powerless or frustrating or worried the situation is, in the midst of that, God is there as a refuge for his people. Now, what's a refuge? Well, it's a place to go in times of trouble. You know, we have rescue centers. Hurricanes come and go in this country, and they're always setting up evacuation places, places where people can go for protection. Out in the west with the really, really hot temperatures, and even in the northeast sometimes, they set up what are called emergency cool places, places where you can go to escape the heat. Well, God is saying here is that he is a place to go to escape troubles. Now, unfortunately, God doesn't have a physical building. Well, I know he has churches and other places of worship, but God's not, that isn't God. That's just a representative of where he is. And maybe going there is a good idea, but he's always a refuge. You can always go and find him. And sometimes in counseling, you hear about we have a need for safe places, somewhere where you can go and feel safe. Well, I've never felt unsafe in my life that I know of, but some people have. And it's really critical for them to have a place to feel safe, to know that someone cares. And this passage is saying, in the midst of all these troubles, God is that safe place. He is a refuge for his people, a strong fortress. Nothing can penetrate the safety of God if we'll search for it. So I hope this week you've heard a little bit about Joel and about God and about hope and about excitement for living. His promises are still true today, even though they were written a long, long time ago. So if you have any questions, give me a call. I'll try to answer them. If you have any other needs, let us know. We'll do whatever we can as fast as we can to help meet your needs. Thanks for listening. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I'll be back on Monday with a new set of thoughts. God bless you.